Today is Wednesday, April 1st, 2020. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Winners at War Week 8.
This episode is titled, This is Where the Battle Begins. And best as we can tell, that was spoken by Ben, although he actually said, this is where the battle starts. And I don't remember a time when they got that wrong, but I'm calling it wrong.
Okay.
Close enough. Out to Edge of Extinction, it's day 19, and they get instructions on the challenge. What'd you make of that? It was pretty detailed.
Yeah, it was.
Described every step, what they were going to end up doing, and
I think
what elements were represented in each stage.
I think that was to let them decide whether they wanted to buy more than one advantage or just exactly how they wanted to spend their tokens.
It certainly gave them more information, but what it left out was what will those advantages be?
Exactly.
Because when we went back and looked at the original Edge of Extinction and looked at the challenge, which this one's almost identical, it's one of the things that I hadn't remembered was Keith bought a disadvantage where he was able to cause Chris to take extra time untying a bunch of knots.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about it, maybe moving them, letting them skip different stages, but there's obviously different ways for that to play out. So they didn't know. But it was basically you could buy up to 3 advantages, or you could buy an immunity idol for 3 fire tokens.
Which is what Natalie decided to do. And since Amber gave Rob her chip, that's what Rob decided to do too.
Right. They each had 1 advantage in the challenge and then an immunity idol if they make it back into the game.
I assume that's what Rob and Amber were going to do because they're going to do what they think is best for their family.
Maximizes their opportunity to return and win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I think it's very pragmatic. We're treated to a preparation video as different castaways out on Edge of Extinction are preparing themselves, and then we head into the challenge.
Everybody comes in, and Adam observes that the last old school player is gone. They voted Yule out.
Clean sweep.
Jeff says, drop your buffs.
Time for a merge.
What'd you think of the new buff?
I thought it was a burgundy color, but we know I'm color challenged. You said it was more like a chocolate or something, right?
Yeah, kind of like a chocolate brown, or like
milk chocolate.
Cocoa.
Okay.
Like the dry cocoa powder.
Right, which works in a pinch if you only have vanilla ice cream and you want chocolate.
Not quite that, but
yeah.
Well, that's true. We like it that way, but my mother thinks that's disgusting. So
Ben says this gives him chills. And then Probst announces that they're not going to be just 11. It's time to bring in someone from Edge of Extinction to take them to 12. No one seems particularly concerned that Sandra was gone. Denise did a little wow, but for the most part, there was no reaction to that. Jeff takes the opportunity to quiz some of the EOE castaways on what it's meant to be out there. Natalie says it was rock bottom for her. And Tyson has a moment. Now, did you think that was genuine, or was that gameplay? Was he game-botting it a little?
I thought it was a little of both.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did.
You don't want to vote out someone with 2 daughters back at home, do you?
Well, I would, yeah, because...
Because it's Tyson.
That's too good a story to take
We're
to the
cold.
end.
We're just too cold.
No, if you're playing it that way,
Probst tried to set him up, talking about his humor that's sometimes dark. But, yeah, we get a pause from Tyson as he laments it and tells us about the mask that he wears of humor and how it kind of walls him off sometimes. But Edge of Extinction, they just play right into the story. They're all really good storytellers. So Probst sets them up, pitches a soft one in right down the middle, nice
you
and
got
slow
for
and
me?
fat, and Tyson took a crack at it and knocked it out of there. I thought he did a good job. Real or not, that was good.
I thought Natalie did good in her response about, that being the absolute rock bottom for her. But I kind of had thought all along Natalie might do well, except for the last few episodes.
You were
She
supposed to
just
think
kinda
that she wouldn't because she
disappeared.
wasn't featured after
Yeah,
being featured.
yeah.
So, yes, it's designed that way in the edit to make you question it.
And obviously Yule didn't do as well as I thought he might.
I thought Probst fumbled that question to Rob. He was trying to get romance out of Edge of Extinction.
Romance.
Was there anything romantic about being out here?
It's like,
Rob wasn't-
Probst, have you been to EOE?
Rob wasn't. He wasn't having any of it though. No, it's not
Come
romantic on
stay a
Edge
few
of
days
Extinction.
with us, Probst. That's what I would have told him. Why don't you come and spend a few days?
But Rob knows how to finish off the sentence when he gets an opportunity to take his turn at storytelling. So he tells Probst that they're all ready to fight to return.
Well, none of us are quitters, and we're going to fight to get back in this game.
There seemed like there was a couple things directed at Sandra
Well,
during that.
Amber was tearing up when Tyson was talking, and I thought that was certainly genuine.
Because it
But,
required nothing of her, and it reminded her of the
it
four.
just reminded her of the one.
She's thinking, well, you're two.
what
How
she
about my
left at
four?
home, yeah.
Yeah.
I have
And they
double
don't.
that many.
They
at
don't
home.
have either one of us there.
That's right.
Okay, so they're going to have to race through a bunch of obstacles, pick up some things along the way, like we talked about, and then maneuver that ball up through that snake track without dropping it, which turns out is quite
It
challenging.
is not an easy challenge. The whole thing.
Parvati, Amber, and Yule did not have fire tokens, so they have to do every stage, which means they've got to do an extra stage to dig up the string that they need to tie the bamboo slats together.
And that was one of the harder ones, seemed like.
Yep, definitely. So everybody else was able to get that advantage. So they scamper over the rope bridge there and pick up their 3 bags of the bamboo slats, and then head on down and start tying them together so they can retrieve the key and unlock the door to get through to work on that snake challenge, maneuvering the ball up the body of the snake there through all those curves.
Tyson was in the lead in that first section, but boy, Rob passed him up when it came to putting that pole together.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things when you think about what would you want to practice. Just coming up with a good process.
That would be one of them.
Yeah, with those bamboo slats like that look like they're about a foot long, and being able to construct that quickly, having a good secure knot, and being able to get some really decent reach, because you got to really get out there with it, and it's hard to construct it in a way. You got to strike the right balance between making it sturdy to be as straight as possible and have the length you need to get out there to where the key is.
Well, it's too bad that Rob didn't show Amber how to do that. Because hers broke.
Yeah, hers folded in one of her attempts there. I'm not sure she even got through there. I don't remember seeing her working
Yeah,
on
I don't remember either.
the snake there, guiding the ball in.
I had let go at that point. I didn't think she had any chance.
But they all ended up getting in there with the exception of her, and were working on it. And then it's just how far is somebody going to go before they drop?
Yeah, and Yule did really good to catch back up. But then when he dropped that last time.
And they all did. And this is one of those challenges where you can be pretty sure you're not seeing it in real time. There are lots of drops and
Oh, yeah.
working through that, lots of people in the lead. So it built up some really good tension in the challenge, and we enjoyed that.
Well, they showed the drop where Ethan just looked like it just defeated him.
Deflated,
like,
took the wind out.
So, that couldn't have been the first drop.
And it ends up being a face-off between Tyson and Rob, with Tyson in the lead, but Rob closes that distance pretty quick, at least the way it was presented to us.
Yeah, I wonder how close that really was. Or if they just did that for drama.
Yeah, possibly to increase it, I suppose, that some artistic license there, but it seems Very, very close. Just a matter of
We'll have
inches.
to go back and see if they were showing any side by side.
Well,
so
they
you can
were,
see
but it
them
was
both.
really zoomed in. It was on the last stage, so in the
That's what I
snake's
mean.
head
That
where the
wasn't
hole is.
where
So
you could see.
Right, you couldn't see anyone in
The two of 'em
perspective.
together.
It was all the way zoomed in on the top of that.
Yeah.
So you really didn't have that perspective, but it looked
Of
close,
when
and
they
then
got there.
Tyson ends up winning his way back in. And Probst tells us it's back to the edge of extinction for the rest of them. And oh, by the way, here's your jury. This is the beginning of it.
Yep. That's what we assumed, and that's why we were not counting on having the first on jury points, because this is the way it happened last time.
Yeah, it just
All
takes
the
it
people
out.
win at once, so there's really no first on jury.
Right.
I mean, we could get technical and say, well, Natalie was voted out first. But no, we're not doing
Just
it.
not going to award the bonus
Just
when it's
not going to
this
give
messy.
the bonus at all, yeah.
Yep, and he also tells us that they'll get one more chance. So for everyone wondering if that was the way it was going to go down.
Now we know.
Yep.
And he didn't say exactly when, but we're assuming like at 5, like they did before.
Yeah. When they use
This
the exact
one.
same challenge as they did in season
Yeah,
38,
it's
you got to
kinda
think they're
like,
going to play
yeah.
it that way.
I would think so.
Tyson was concerned that fatherhood had made him soft, but this gave his confidence a little boost. And when they went to commercial, you and I were talking and wondering, okay, so what happens with the idols that Rob and Natalie have? They're just going to hold on to them, I suppose,
I would assume so.
and continue to accrue additional fire tokens to maybe to give them so they can
And
buy more advantages.
Yeah. I would certainly hold on to it if that was an option.
You know what
for
would
sure.
be, I would offer as a temptation to allow them to sell it
For more tokens?
Yeah.
For,
so they can start building their war chest up again. I don't know that anyone would take it, but I would certainly make that as part of the offer.
okay, Merge Tribe. They're all very interested in the new list of items to buy.
It's not that new, though. So basically what they did was they reformatted it into 3 different sections, and they took off the option to buy coffee and pastries for 3 tokens, and they also removed the option to buy an advantage in a challenge for 4 tokens, and then they added 2 under the category to replace those 2 with 2 more under the category of strategic options. So they now have the ability to steal a reward. If you pay 3 tokens, you can steal a reward from someone who has basically on their way to a reward.
Boy, I think that could backfire.
That's going to cultivate some ill will.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
it may be the chance that you need to make a
It
connection
might.
that you
It
hadn't been
might.
able to do if you find yourself on the outs in the later stages of the game. And then the second one that they put in for the replacement is you now have an option to send a note to someone on Edge of Extinction. So now you've got a communications path where you can reach
Oh,
out and maybe make a deal with someone.
I guess, but I'm not sure that would, what circumstances that would benefit anyone. I mean,
Well,
if it
the
were
people
Rob
on-
and Amber, sure, but
The people on Edge could send you things. So this is your
True.
way to reach out. So it seemed to me that it would be obvious for Tyson to sort of gravitate towards this one, where he could turn around and send something to Rob. And if you're sending it to Rob, you're sending it to Rob and Amber, which increases your chances of being able to get more tokens if they ever open up the economy, so that you have that as an option.
yeah. Well, we'll see what they do with that.
And there was a note at the bottom of the menu that says the last time to spend on any of these advantages is on, you have to have spent them by sundown on day 39. So as long as you get your buys in before then. I think it was 39. Pretty sure it was 39.
We'll have to go back and check.
Yeah. So that's all I noticed in terms of the changes.
All right, so we're off to the Merge Feast. And Sarah wants to know what happened with Sandra. I don't know that Denise had any choice but to tell the story, because everybody wanted to know, and the others would tell anyway. But it did sure put a target on our girl.
Yep, so she laid it all out for them, and then they cheered Denise as the Queen Slayer. And we get a quick confessional there from Sophie.
Sophie's just on top of everything. They're making her, that feels like if there is such a thing as a winner's edit, she seems to be getting some pretty good press.
Okay. Are you calling it?
No,
So you
not
don't
at
have
this point.
don't have confidence
They
in a
just
winner's edit
merged.
then. Exactly.
No,
That's my point.
I think a
There's
lot
several
of people get winners' edits.
There's several people that they turn to help narrate the season, and certainly she's one of them.
She's
And
one of them, for
she
sure.
declares that Denise now has a solid resume, more so than anyone else potentially.
But it was the good to know.
That's what you like the most about it.
Yep, good to know.
What'd you make of their quick discussion? Did you believe them when that question came up? Hey, was that intentional to wipe out all the old schoolers? Is Tyson sitting there with them?
The verdict's still out on that for me.
Their response was a unanimous no. It wasn't a plan.
No, of course not. Yeah, but I don't know that it wasn't.
Okay. Tyson tells us in his quick confessional that he can adapt, and they would do best to get rid of me at day one every time. To which I heartily agree.
Mr.
That's like a no-cost option.
Yeah,
But
didn't seem to be talked about a lot.
And in the original Edge of Extinction, someone latched on to Devon's, and sure enough, he wasn't. Even though he had the split idol thing to use as some leverage, it wouldn't gain full power until he had given it away
Yeah.
and then reunited it after a
I
tribal
thought
council.
Tyson would get something, but he didn't, huh?
Well, he had the option to get something had he had enough fire tokens. So I can fully understand why they wouldn't just give him something from
Right.
going back in. They had a system for handling that this time.
And I really would like to know if he still had any of his peanut butter in his bag.
I saw something that said he had shared that with Parvati. I think she mentioned it in a response to someone. Wendell says that they need numbers, so he's going to reach out to Jeremy and see if he can't cultivate a relationship there. He said they'd met a few times outside of the game. Jeremy tells us, I like Wendell. I want to be Wendell's number one. So, yeah, I think I'll get rid of Nick.
Do you think that Wendell shouldn't have told Jeremy the truth about Nick being his... Because Jeremy was asking a lot of probing questions.
He's very good at that.
He is.
Yep. He's very skilled at doing that. And unless you're prepared for it, you're better off going with the truth. And they were both trying to cultivate some trust to see if they could work to each other. And I think that is a kind of, especially when you're one-on-one like that, that is the kind of scenario where you can take that risk. Now, we can see that the way it's presented, Jeremy is the more devious of the two. He's interested in working with Wendell, and he's also interested in getting rid of Wendell's number one so that Jeremy can fill that spot.
He can be number one.
And they both pledged to watch each other's backs. This is an important point. We'll see how this plays out as we move ahead. What do you think about that discussion between Ben and Tyson at the well?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
So they flip back, and now this is Ben's chance to talk with Tyson and meet some of the other people. Obviously, he gave Tony a big hug at the feast there, the merge feast.
Well, and Ben puts himself right up there with all the big targets.
Yeah, that's their discussion. It's the meat shield big target discussion. They're two different players. There's the people hiding in the background on the coattails, and there's this big targets who play a flashy game. Do you think that's a fair assessment? You think Ben belongs in that category?
I think he's a big physical threat, but I wouldn't, if you just said, name your top people that are big threats, I wouldn't have thought right away of Ben.
He certainly, from my recollection, he played a game that was reminiscent of Tony, because it was at times in your face, and it was very flashy.
Yep.
And there's a lot of talking, and so Ben bombs, I
like Ben bombs.
and Tony's Spy Shack,
Ben
and
bombs.
all that goes along with that and llama talk. They do seem like they're in a similar category to me.
Well, yeah, when you look at it that way, but when he said it, I was like, oh, okay.
You don't think he belonged in that
No,
category?
I hadn't thought about it.
Big threats, little threats. Tony's all on board with this. It's actually a story Tyson told early on, but he could get no traction with it. But maybe there's something to it this time. Tony says it's music to his ears. They want to break up the sleepers.
Well, usually what happens is they start targeting these guys. So I think it's very wise that they're looking at that realistically right from the get-go.
Sure.
And bonding together.
Looks like there's an alliance brewing here between Ben, Tyson, Jeremy, and Tony as they have those discussions.
And I wrote, and maybe Wendell.
Boom, Koru on day 21, and it is raining, and there's something missing from that shelter.
What?
A roof.
Oh,
Ain't no roof.
Ain't no roof on that shelter.
And they're not ready for the rain, clearly, because it's affecting everyone except Adam. Adam got a really happy portion of the edit right here.
Adam was really annoying me.
Did this part annoy you?
Yes.
Because I like this part. I always like, and we've seen Tony do this, and some of the other folks that welcome the weather. And Adam said, I went through a cyclone. This is nothing.
This is nothing.
Tyson wonders out loud, how long before someone's going to break down and buy a tarp? And Wendell says, well, I'm waiting on one of those rich people over there with all the tokens to do it. And then they have a quick discussion while they're huddled there, talking about tarps, and they decide that Denise should go. That give you pause? Our USB is being targeted.
Well, it does give me some pause, but I don't think she's down and out just yet.
Plus
she may be, but
her game's very in front right now.
Not just yet.
Okay, immunity challenge. It's a classic. It's all about endurance. They get some ladders out. They have them climb up the ladder and then wrap around these big, tall poles, and the last one holding on wins. And in this case, they split the immunity, so it's the last woman wins immunity and the last man wins immunity.
Sophie is just absolutely freezing. I'm pretty sure
She wasn't the only one. You could see several people were shaking
Oh,
when they
yeah,
came
Adam
in.
was too.
I think what caught Prope's attention was her eyes. It was the look in her eyes that really caused him to zero in on her, in addition to that. And she came in with nothing on in the rain, basically, so.
Well, and
just
it
minimum.
looked like she was about to lose it,
Because of our eyes, yeah.
And so.
Did you catch Ben's comment at this point?
I don't remember it.
She's going to go quick.
Oh, yeah, I did. I remember that. But actually, she didn't, so. But we did notice that she put clothes on.
Yeah, she's got long sleeves and pants on when she actually does the challenge.
She's on the pole, yeah.
Yeah,
so.
which goes along with another thing with her in the middle of another challenge. She starts was it last time?
It was the one where they carried the
previous
water.
One, yeah.
And she had taken her pants off somewhere along the way.
She lost her shorts, yeah. So this time we noticed while she was doing the challenge that she's got more clothes on.
She had her shorts on, and then when she went to get up on the obstacles, I think they were just in her way because they were so big on her. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if they were falling off and
could have been
causing a problem. But anyway, and then in this one, the next time you see, she's got clothes on.
Do you remember, is Adam afraid of heights? What did you make of what he was saying about being scared? And he repeated it multiple times. I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, as he was sliding a little bit up there.
I don't know, sliding from that height, you should be scared. I would be scared.
It is way up there. And
I know.
Even though Michele had worked her way down, when she's the first one off, she took a pretty big fall. That was
I would never go
at least
that
a
high.
5-6 foot fall from where she was.
I would be like, I'm not going up there. I can hold on from down here.
It shook her enough that Probst came over to ask if she needed medical, and she shrugged that off. Adam drops next, and then he heads over to help her out, which was kind of funny because I think she's bigger in stature than he is, but he tries to put her arm over his shoulder to help her over to the bench, but she didn't really need it. Nice try. Sarah drops. Tyson's out after Probst had reminded us all that Tyson had previously won this challenge. Wendell's out. Tony's out. We got a face-off between Denise, Kim, Sophie, and then Sophie drops. So then you got Nick, Ben, and Jeremy facing off. And between Denise and Kim, they had a little bit of a showdown. They were both starting to get uncomfortable, it looked like. And then Kim dropped, and Denise wins immunity and a fire token, we find out.
Yep.
And then it's Jeremy versus Nick. And it was funny when we were watching. You said, we were both taking notes, and you said, does Nick have a toe ring on? And I looked up, and he had cut his toe. His toe was bleeding.
Well, I saw something that looked like a toe. He had a toe ring on.
He had a ring of blood. Yeah.
He doesn't seem like the type to wear a toe ring.
Jeremy has got freaky toes because he was able to wedge his big toes in there. Really, it just like kept him up at the top of that thing the whole time. I thought he was taking too much risk staying up there, but he made it work. And he ends up outlasting Nick after they have a little bit of a face-off, and Nick dropped out. I don't think it was as close as they presented it, because when Nick dropped, he was much lower than I thought he was. So I think some things had happened with him headed down there. They built some tension, and then Nick dropped out. Jeremy wins immunity for the men and a fire token.
All right.
Jeremy tells us after he gets his necklace and Denise gets hers, and they both get their fire tokens, that he wants to target Nick, but he doesn't want to drive it openly. He just wants to help nudge it in that direction to get that desired outcome so that he can become Wendell's number
Well,
one.
he wants to drive it. He just didn't want anyone else to know he's driving.
Back at camp, back at Koru, day 21, they go out to gather some wood, and then plans are assembled. Jeremy, Ben, and Tony get together for a quick chat, and they say, okay, it's Nick or Wendell. And Nick tries his best to nudge it towards Nick.
Well,
I mean, Jeremy does. I think I said that.
Jeremy wasn't even the one that said Nick first, the way they showed us. It was Ben brought up Nick.
And
he had issues around Nick as well.
Tony tells us that Nick is one of those jackals that he had talked, or hyenas that he had talked about, that harasses the lions like himself. He says Nick's a scavenger and wants to get rid of him. He's fine with that. Ben tells us, yeah, he's always butting into conversations. Now, they show a little montage of him walking up and into existing groups and talking. But did you get a sense that they took that as him butting in?
I don't know. I don't think it was any one thing. I think it was a lot of different instances.
Nick's got his own plan. He tells us he's targeting Adam because Adam's close with Denise and they can't get Denise this time, so why not take out Adam?
Well, then I'm ready to get rid of Nick.
Sophie's not so keen on going after Adam. She's thinking more along the lines of Nick or Wendell.
So if Sophie's the one that first threw Wendell's name out there, what does that say about Sophie?
Shot caller, maybe. I don't know that I'd read a whole lot into it, given how things develop and part of the discussion that happens at Tribal Council, but
yeah, but she
could
was
trace it backwards.
She was saying, well, I think Wendell's Jeremy's man, and that's why she was wanting to get rid of him.
Yep, she did pick up on that,
Which
that they
is
were broing out a little bit, and that caught her attention.
Yeah.
Certainly showed up on her radar, and when Ben takes that to Jeremy, that they're targeting Wendell, Jeremy tries to convince him that Wendell's a shield. And then we get Nick kind of butting in on the conversation, so maybe that was real. Just in passing, though.
When Jeremy starts pitching Adam, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he pivots onto Adam at this point. Ben says that's going to take a lot of work, so we get Jeremy doing a lot of work in his montage. He's going around and he's selling it.
I was very impressed with Denise when she tells Jeremy, I'll vote Adam out, no problem. I can go either way.
Go with the flow, she says.
Yep.
Smooth, no ripple effect here. It's not going to cause me grief.
I was like, what? All right, then. Maybe it bought her some time, so
This is part of Jeremy's.
forget about it.
This is part of Jeremy's magic too, is that he builds these options, much like Kim Spradlin did. So you got A, B, C, and D. You've got all these connections, and Jeremy's working that same kind of plan right now as he goes around and talks to everybody. Sophie tries to calm Adam down. He tells her, "I got a weird feeling." She's telling him, "Stay calm. Try not to be so paranoid." But Adam's having some issues, and this is that part where we saw him the next time on Survivor last week where he was making fun of Ben. He tried to get some information from Ben, and Ben was telling him, "Look, I just got back. I don't know what happened. You could go out to get water or get wood and come back, and the plan has changed."
Yeah, Adam wasn't buying that, but
Denise offered Adam some comfort. She said, "It's okay. You need to trust the process."
Trust the process. Then I'd have been really
Spoken
nervous.
like a therapist, yeah.
Yep.
Which she is. Tribal Council, night 21. Tyson gets to relight his torch, and the jury enters.
Nobody looks happy, though.
No reason to be,
Nope.
other than they're on the jury. Tyson tells us he's tightened up his game. He might have been playing a little fast and loose in the beginning oversharing, but he's got that locked down now.
The only good thing I bet about them being on the jury right now is just getting off of Edge for any amount of time.
Gives them a little
They'll
bit of
take
respite.
it. Yeah.
And talk about not having any cover. They very likely have even less out there than the people that are active in the game have.
Well, I don't know that Tribal Council provides a lot of cover, but
at a minimum,
better than what they have out there.
At a minimum, you probably get some cover and comfort in the transport, because we know from past seasons that they bring them in from the different islands in boats, and a lot of times they'll have them down below in a bigger boat where it's covered. Remember, that's how Pat ended up getting hurt when they were in some chop there, and it threw him up in the air and he hurt his back. Sophie tells us, no, it's not just as simple as voting Tyson right back out. And Tony says, we're not playing that way. We're playing strategic, and things have changed since Tyson was last in the game. We're playing a different game now. There's a different set of circumstances to consider. Denise tells us this is going to be a defining vote, and then when Wendell asks about how defining it is, Wendell says, well, it'll tell some things.
It's a tricky balance tonight.
Yeah.
I thought,
Adam agrees it is tricky. He said there are lots of quick conversations, and he would prefer to have longer, deeper conversations, but sometimes all he got was a word.
Well, later on he had said that he said he still didn't know what people didn't want to talk, and I thought, well, then that sounds like it's you, isn't what they say? If nobody's talking to you, it's you.
Right. Definitely you have cause to be concerned. Nick tells us that he, too, likes to double check, but he doesn't want to be a nag.
Or get paranoid.
And Sophie shares with us that she entered high school when she was 12 years old.
Said she felt like a 12-year-old girl trying to follow everyone, and that it's okay to be out of the loop and prove that you trust the people that you're in alliance with. That's how you prove it. Who is she talking to?
Oh, she's talking
Adam?
to Adam, obviously.
Yeah.
She's trying to offer
That's what I thought, too.
some guidance. But
She was talking about Nick, maybe, but I felt like she was talking to Adam.
Yep, she knows he's going to be Adam, though. And Sarah, when she's quizzed about how things are proceeding, says it takes time for a name to get traction. You can't always... Used to, you could see the punch coming. This time, there's snipers. And so it's a lot more about a stealth kill than it is watching someone take a swing at you, getting ready for it. I like Jeremy's comment that they were sparring right now and trying to find each other's reach.
Yeah, I like that, too. I like that analogy.
Yeah. And then, like you said, Adam mentioned, he's still not sure what's going on. And Tony wraps us up with, I don't want to swim against the current, which was perfect for Probst. He just softballed it back to Probst, and for him to say, yes, if you only knew where the current was.
Yeah, but
so that you didn't get caught in the riptide.
Like a body of water, you just got to go with the flow.
No hidden immunity idols or advantages were played. What did you think about how the votes were read out? They're getting tricky, mixing it up on us.
Yeah, they don't usually do that.
They innovated a little bit.
Think, Adam.
We both had Adam going.
Yeah.
Yep. So
we didn't know until
we were happy with
after
how
the deadline
that was proceeding. And then, whoops, they pull the rug out from under us, because here comes a whole bunch of votes for Wendell to tie it back up, and Wendell is out. We see a quick exchange between Nick and Michele, both of them declaring that they did not know. So you got two people there in a very small minority who appear to be out of the loop.
Yep.
So I guess Jeremy gave up on that whole idea of working with Wendell pretty quick when he saw how things were going.
Adam did know who the vote was, and he even said in his confessional, it's either you or me, Wendell. I don't know if you know that, but it's you or me.
Yeah.
And so he did know what was going on.
Well, there's repeating what you've been told when you go to make your vote, and then there's actually knowing what's going on.
Well, he seemed pretty confident, though, that it's either Wendell or me. So
at least he had narrowed it down to that point. Okay.
And Wendell gives one token to Michele and one to Nick.
Split them up, because
So
he wasn't sure who stabbed him in the back, he said.
Well, and he might be trying to gain favor for if he gets back in.
Sure, wouldn't hurt to spread the wealth around, I suppose.
That's right.
What do you think about the overall episode?
I thought it was very good.
Yeah, it was okay. It seemed like not as
Transition.
much happened. Yeah, it wasn't.
Transition episode.
Somehow it wasn't as exciting. I mean, I knew we were going to have to spend this time on the Edge of Extinction challenge and all that, but I would have liked to have seen a lot more about what was going on and how people were lining up, and we really missed out on that.
Yeah, how they were just a lot more.
How they were coming together.
Camp. Yeah.
Or not. Yeah. So we're definitely missing some of the social aspects of
I'm with
the merge. Oh, maybe we'll get something in the extras. I'm learning
It's kind of like in
not to expect anything there.
series, you're like, okay, they're just setting
It's a
things
building
up now.
transitional
They're building,
episode. Yeah.
So that's what this one had to do, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think Denise is in big trouble?
Not yet.
Had she not won immunity, do you think she would be gone?
She could have.
That sounds like trouble to me.
Yeah, she could. She definitely could have. Does that mean you're planning on not keeping her as your USB?
It gave me pause. I'll say that. I
it's
have
definitely a
enjoyed
possibility.
cheering for her, and given how well her game has progressed, that's made it even more fun. But she seems to be on everybody's radar because of the big takedown of Sandra.
Yeah.
And you got to believe she was feeling it because she battled it out and beat all the other women so that she would be guaranteed immunity. And it wasn't clear that there was any
Which also
hidden
makes her a
immunity
bigger
idols
target.
here. Although, like we said, potentially we're expecting that there is an idol at Sele Beach because that's where she had found her original one that she used when she did the
Maybe.
Sandra takedown. So it's very possible that there's another hidden immunity idol there at this beach waiting for someone to find it, if not Denise again. Yeah, so it was good. I guess it was solid, but I almost wish it had been 2 hours so it could have got more of those social elements.
That would have been much nicer,
That
yes.
would have struck the balance that we need.
Yeah, because there's just too much information when you're doing that kind of transitioning people back into the game and having to do that challenge. So.
Yep. And of course,
But
we
it was
have
still good to me.
absolute clarity now. Sandra did not hang around for the merge, and she is not on the jury.
Yep, I never thought she would be.
Okay. Next time on Survivor, Nick tells us it's time to take out all these double crossers, and he's going to target Sarah. And then we cut to Sarah, and she says, "Big mistake, buddy."
Yeah, my money's on Sarah.
Mine too. Especially, we got the groundwork for why Nick's going to go. Now, maybe the target would lessen on him a little bit because Wendell's gone and the threat's not as much. But it certainly seems like it wouldn't be out of the question to see Nick and Michele follow Wendell at this stage. Given the plan from the big dogs, the Lions are looking to get rid of the...
Well, I can't
Smaller
help. They were
players.
talking to Adam too, so I don't know why Adam's annoying me, but that's why I chose him to go home. I thought, well, it doesn't make sense. He's not as big a threat as some of the others, but I just think he's going to annoy people.
This is the... And we got a little bit of that discussion about how he can't be trusted and everything, but really, I saw it tilt in his favor. That would be my assessment from this episode. This is where he gets to fade into the background again, and people forget that he's there.
I don't think he's going to let him. I think he's.
Because
I
what
think
they
he's gonna
told us,
chip away.
what they told us in this episode is Nick is in that role. He's the one butting in everywhere, according to Ben. So Ben, who has every reason to,
Oh my gosh, the biggest butter inner of all.
Ben, who has every reason to target Adam, is really more focused on getting rid of Nick.
I really like Ben, but he's everywhere, and he does that too.
Wendell tells us as he's headed out to Edge of Extinction that he may be captive now, but he has a plan to escape. All right, how about a JSFL update?
Okay, I can do that. There are 38 people who lost their USB. 3 people are tied for first with 38 points. 93 people lost a safe point, and 60 people earned a vote-off point. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Side challenge with 37 points. In first place, Jay Kindred. With 35, Jeremiah. 33, we have Jonathan, Parker, and Stacy. 32 points, Cameron, Cold Mike, and Rebecca. 31, Brandon, Carl, Drew, Jack, Justin, and Slappy. And with 29, Chris.
All right. You're still playing, aren't you, Chris?
You're being mean. You go, Chris.
Yeah. You go, girl.
Now, a quick note about JSFL is if you're one of the, I think, 39 people who there was a glitch on the website and you could get in and change your USB even though you weren't supposed to until the episode after the merge episode airs. That's always when we do it.
Until after the merge episode airs. You made the same mistake I did. We got to have the merge, and then you get an opportunity to change your USB.
Yes, exactly. That's what I just said.
Nope. You said the episode
No,
after the
you're wrong.
episode.
Shut up. You're wrong.
We've had the merge.
Let
now
me finish, please.
Yeah, okay.
If you went ahead, the 39 people that did go in and change, that was wiped out. We fixed the glitch so you didn't have a change. So you're back to your original USB, and now, starting at midnight tonight, you will be able to select a new USB if you choose. If your USB is out of the game, it will be for a possible 5-point bonus. And if you're like Stacy and I, Denise is still in the game, but if we decide to move away from her, it will only be for a possible 10 points instead of 24.
Or you can let it ride.
Yep.
Confident in your choice before the season began.
Confident or not, sometimes that's just easier for me.
No.
Not to struggle.
It's never,
through.
you always struggle.
Well,
You can present it that way if you want.
yeah, but that's ultimately what I end up doing.
The
is just
result,
going,
whatever the
I can't
result is,
decide.
it's not easy the way
Can't
you
decide,
approach
or I
it.
can't pass up the possibility of 24
It
points.
is an inevitable struggle. You'll go round and round regardless of what result you end
I
up
know.
with
It's true. I do that.
every week.
I know. I changed my picks again today because I thought, oh no. And I first thought Tony's going to go home. And I thought, no, I just feel like Adam's going to go home. I just think he's going to annoy people. And so I went back and I changed it. And then I thought, I made my picks. And then I thought, wait a minute. But I don't have any save points off Tony. So if I don't think Tony's going home right now, I better get a safe back. So I went back in and changed it to put Tony safe. Because I really didn't want to use up another safe on Sophie. So
Yeah.
So I
think she's going to
changed
be here for a while, and you only have
maybe, maybe
6
not. I don't
safe
know.
points that you can spend on Sophie.
Oh, I think I'm not doing as well as I could with that because I've been afraid to. But I'm glad I didn't put.
Okay,
Wendell
who's going
safe.
next?
Who's going next?
Mhm.
Lordy, I'll say Nick because he's the most obvious.
So then it'll probably be Michele, then Nick.
Yeah.
But Michele might
He'll
be
win
in,
immunity, so they'll
might
have
be
to
in
go for
danger
him.
because she's got that association with Wendell, and she's also in the Little Threat group. So Wendell was placed in the Little Threat group too.
Yeah, that's true. But Michele wasn't a threat. They weren't seeing her as a threat. So I think she has a chance to join
think-
up with other people.
You think maybe she did herself a service by distancing herself from Wendell a bit?
Well, I don't know that she did distance from Wendell, but what I do think is that they targeted Wendell because of Jeremy. Because Sophie made that call that, hey, I think Wendell's Jeremy's number one.
So here's an
Or
alternative.
wants him to be. So this is how we
Can manage that.
as we go after him. Jeremy's got immunity. So, and besides, even if Jeremy and Denise hadn't won immunity, who's a bigger threat? I mean, physically at least anyway. So I think they would have gone after Jeremy.
Perhaps. So Sophie still has an immunity idol.
Yes.
Sarah's still got her steal a vote. Jeremy's got his ability to exit. I'm out. You can't get me. Which this is a potentially. I want to say that it's even more powerful at this stage, but you still have alliances that are counting on you. When the tribes are smaller, it seemed like it would have been more impactful to do that and check out. And then Kim's got a hidden immunity idol. So that's where we stand right now. Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't believe so.
We look forward to hearing you and your thoughts on this episode. What did you think about the merge? How's your favorite castaway doing? How do you think it's going to go from here? Are the big threats going to get rid of all the little threats? The voicemail number is 206-350-1547. Toll free 844-643-8737. The email is joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com. Feedback is due noon Saturday Pacific time. We look forward to hearing your thoughts. We've been having some awesome listener feedback shows this season, and we'd love to have you come be a part. Have a good one.